Hello folks and happy Easter. Thought I'd do a little special edition of the car news for you because there's been quite a lot lately. We're starting off on Auto Express. Secret UK courts are fast tracking speeding fines, say magistrates. This is something called Single Justice Procedure System, and basically means that magistrates are not having time to actually review any pleas from anyone, and people are just getting fast tracked through the courts. This is happening for speeding fines, things like people using their phone whilst driving, not sort of leaving enough space when overtaking cyclists. And it also means that some of these like dashcam warriors that are sending in their dashcam footage to the police all the time are having that evidence taken as read without any form of context involved and without hearing anything from the person that's actually alleged to have committed the offence. You can read more about that over on Auto Express. Road tax set to rise in April. Here's how much more you'll pay. Drivers with newer cars will now pay £10 more per year, although the biggest gas guzzlers fare even worse. Basically, vehicle excise duty, to give it its proper name, is going up with inflation, and it's going to keep doing that by the looks of it. Set to rise in April 2024, and the very biggest gas guzzlers will pay 140 quid extra, but for most people it's going to be a tenner. Now, Autocar are calling this a Brexit benefit. The Porsche 718 generation, that's the Porsche Boxster and the Porsche Cayman, are not going to be available in Europe because of this weird new cybersecurity law. But they will survive in the UK because we're not following the EU's stance on this cybersecurity thing when it comes to cars. That's obviously great news for Porsche fans. I guess it might be good news for Porsche dealers because you might get people trying to do grey exports of them, I suppose. Now, fresh on my absolutely hot clickbait video from last week about the state of the road surfaces in my area that have literally just been relayed and already have new potholes. Councils not spending government's potholes fund. This comes from Autocar. New report finds that half the roads in England and Wales have just 15 years of structural life remaining. Half of the roads in England and Wales. Just get your head around that for a second. And if you looked in the comments of that fascinating video I did last week, you'll see loads of people saying, oh, it's terrible in my area. You know, it's like driving down around a playing field. I drove to Horsham yesterday from Bournemouth on all A roads, and some of the potholes were devastating that I encountered. So in 2020, the government created the Potholes Fund, which basically allocated £500 million to councils across England to help them fix the estimated 50 million potholes. That's probably not enough, and because, you know, all these council contracts go out to who, God knows who, they're not done by the council anymore. It's always done on a contract basis. Probably someone gets a nice holiday here and there. 500 million's probably not enough to do it. You and I could probably do it for a tenth of the price. But according to the latest annual local authority road maintenance survey of local authorities by the Asphalt Industry Alliance, they sound like a fun bunch, English and Welsh councils spent just 143.5 million filling potholes in the past 12 months. At a time when the number of potholes and vehicles being damaged have rarely been higher. The report also found that over half of the local road network in England and Wales has got less than 15 years life left, while the amount needed to fix the backlog of carriageway repairs has increased to a record high of £16.3 billion. 16.3 billion, folks. Consumer Watchdog calls for car dealers to be licensed. Levels of crime and fraud are rising, while spending on trading standards departments is falling, says the CTSI. They've said that the purchase of used cars is one of the most complained about things to trading standards, and levels of fraud are through the roof. Obviously, there are some good people out there in the motor trade. People watch my channel sometimes and think every car dealer in the world is trying to rip them off, and they're not by any stretch of the imagination. There are some decent people out there, but unfortunately, literally anyone can set themselves up as a car dealer and fleece people left, right and centre, and it still happens all the time, like literally all the time, particularly in some parts of the country. And maybe some kind of licensing would actually help, but that still needs to be policed. I'm sure all the good people would go and apply for their licence, and a lot of the rogues would simply forge it, pretend they've got a licence, do whatever they need to do. So I don't necessarily disagree with it, but if it's not policed properly, it's kind of pointless. What are your thoughts, folks? Let me know in the comments. Chinese EV battery manufacturer to invest 1.2 billion in UK factory. New gigafactory in Coventry will create up to 6,000 jobs and produce up to 60 gigawatt hours per year in its final form. Reading this is not a done deal yet, but negotiations are evidently in their final stages. It's a company called EVE, EVE, which was founded in 2001 and claims to be the world's largest manufacturer of cylindrical EV batteries, and produces units for car makers, including BMW, and employs nearly 30,000 people. That can only be good news, because you have to think, if BMW's largest producer of batteries happens to be in the UK, maybe BMW starts producing some cars in the UK. Maybe other manufacturers find it easier to produce cars in the UK. And it goes without saying that an investment of this size, production facility of this size, is going to create lots of jobs in the Midlands. The UK car industry rejects claims that it's benefiting from selling cars into Russia. Obviously, that's a sanctioned state at the moment, and evidently record numbers of vehicles are going through Azerbaijan, using sort of third-party brokers to sneak things in the back door. And the number of UK exports going to Azerbaijan has gone up by 2,000%. That seems like a strange coincidence. It's on Autocar, but Sky News are reporting that Rolls-Royce and Bentley luxury cars are being exported to Russia in defiance of trade sanctions. These sanctions are imposed, obviously, following Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and bans the export of cars to the country. However, it doesn't ban cars being exported to Azerbaijan. Brokers are then selling them off into Russia. So it's a little backdoor for these people. Spokesperson for the SMMT said UK vehicle exports to Azerbaijan, as to many countries globally, have increased due to a number of factors, not least a flourishing economy, new model launches and pent-up demand, as it is apparent in the post-pandemic uplift in 2021, when exports almost quadrupled with 2019. Azerbaijan has generally been a market for Britain's high-value vehicle manufacturers, so a small increase in volume can have a dramatic impact on the export value. It then says that the UK automotive industry is dedicated to complying with government and economic sanctions throughout the world. So they're saying, oh no, it just happened to be a coincidence. Okay. Fisker almost halves US ocean prices in urgent fundraising drive. Range topping Ocean Extreme is cut by $24,000 as EV company aims to quickly sell stock and avoid bankruptcy. Fisker claimed last week that it had some 4,700 cars in its inventory and a claimed value of more than $200 million. There's been a lot of news about Fisker lately. The share price is almost nothing right now. Obviously, they invested huge amounts of money, and so far they just haven't had the sales to go along with it. Initial reviews of the cars were kind of like they'd been rushed out, lots of software issues and things, and it's a massive shame, because I think they're producing some fantastic looking vehicles with some nice touches, but if they're rushing them out the door literally to avoid bankruptcy, that seems like a kind of never-ending circle of doom, because to have any chance they need to have come to market with really, really good vehicles. It must be so difficult to get a new EV brand, any new car brand to be fair, off the ground and try and sell at volume from day one almost, with massive amounts of debt sitting behind it, you know, as a new entrant to the market. And it's a gamble that a few are taking. Obviously Tesla did it years ago, but they were essentially first to market. And I don't know if there can be another one right now, especially with all this competition coming in from China. So sad news if it does go bust. I have to think that maybe another manufacturer might buy it, because I know other manufacturers have got skin in the game, and it might be that they take it on and think to themselves, well, we've got a load of basically finished EVs here that we could essentially stick our badge on and meet our zero emissions mandate. But let's wait and see what happens. I hope there's a recovery for Fisker, because, you know, it seemed like a brand with quite a lot of promise. Volvo produces its last car with a diesel engine. It was an XC90. It rolled off the production line, destined for a new museum as Volvo transitions into an all-electric brand. So that's quite cool. They're going to stick it in a museum, the last diesel XC90 ever made. Now, Volvo won't become an all-electric brand until 2030. And in the meantime, they're going to do a refresh of their petrol hybrid cars. So there'll still be plenty of options for those of you that like to fill your tank with petrol. New 𝘼𝙁𝙁𝙄𝙇𝙄𝑼𝙏 and JQ brands plot rapid UK expansion. The latest brands to come over from China. These are from Chery Motors. JQ is definitely the more premium of the two. It's quite a striking looking thing. And then 𝘼𝙁𝙁𝙁 is more the kind of everyday brand, if you like. Both look quite interesting, actually. Lots of other models come in, but they've this week had a little bit of a showcase in London. They'll have petrol cars, hybrid cars and EVs available, and they should have 8 models by 2025. The new Ford Explorer is going to have a sub £40,000 price tag and 374 miles of range. The delayed EV is a better vehicle now than it would have been if it launched 6 months ago as planned. I wish more companies had done this. I wish VW had done this with the ID3. Just released it a bit later and released something that actually was really good rather than something that felt a little bit pre-production when it first came out. Under the skin of this is basically a VW ID4, ID5, because they're using the Volkswagen MEB platform, Ford are for these, and this is part of this sort of joint venture from VW and Ford. Seems to make a lot of sense. One lot of R&D, one lot of manufacturing potentially for a lot of the components. And yeah, I'll be really excited to get behind the wheel of one of those, because I feel like Ford lost its way a little bit in recent times, and this looks like an interesting vehicle. It looks like it could be very popular. The numbers on it are all looking positive. You know, this is going to be similar money to a Tesla Model 3. It's going to have more range than a standard Tesla Model 3, but it's going to be a family SUV. If they manage to hit all these figures, it could be quite interesting. Radical Genesis luxury SUV has cinema seats and underfloor heating. This is a concept car. It's called the Genesis Neolan GV90, and basically it's a more luxurious take on the Kia EV9, which I've got in for review next week, actually, the EV9, so I'm looking forward to that. But it's certainly got a bit of presence. They've gone for a ridiculous interior that will never make it to the production model, I'm sure, as probably won't these seats, but look at those things. Wow, I'd be quite happy to have that in my lounge, to be fair. But look, it's a concept. I'll chat about it more if there's actually a production vehicle with some firm facts and figures behind it. Revised business plan to bring 30 new Nissans by 2026. The Japanese firm will launch 14 pure internal combustion engine and 16 electrified models over the next 2 years. Obviously, Nissan have just announced this joint venture with Honda to produce EVs together, or certainly to work on EV technology together. But I think in the short term, it's more likely that they'll push ahead with the hybrids and the plug-in hybrids, and then really start to expand the EVs a little bit further along. Nissan cars certainly feel like they're moving in the right direction, although I'm not a big fan of their hybrid system, I must admit. Really, as cars, the new X-Trail, the current Qashqai, the Aria for sure, they all feel a bit better than their predecessors. They feel like they're moving in the right direction. The Aria, of course, doesn't have any predecessors, so forget about that, but the Aria is a very, very good car. This is really cool. The ex-Jaguar design boss Peter Callum has created a unique EV for wheelchair users. Peter Callum has designed some epic cars over the years, Aston Martins, Jags. You know, he knows his stuff, this guy. And it's really cool. It's been designed with Motability. It's got an integrated ramp. It's got 2 charging ports and a rear infotainment bar. So let's have a little look at it. So instead of having to get a vehicle and get it adapted, this is just made for purpose initially. And you can see full consideration has been given to the person in the wheelchair, which is great. You know, I'm not in a wheelchair yet, but my eyes have been opened to the plight of wheelchair users quite a bit in the last few years. It all started really when I started pushing a pushchair around when we first had kids, and you realise how difficult life is at times just with a pushchair, and then you think, God, if I was in a wheelchair, how would I actually do this? I think the more we do to make life as easy as possible for everyone, regardless of any personal challenges you've got, the better. So this is great. I like this. Now, this is simply a design at the moment. Whether it ever gets to production, we'll have to wait and see. But certainly if someone came along with a suitable platform and gave them something to build on, this could be a great step forward. Peugeot E5008 brings 7 seats and 410 miles of range. It's going to be about 50 grand, which is, I think, about 15 less than the Kia EV9. It has got Peugeot badge on, which will put some people off, but they're making good looking cars these days. It has to be said, certainly better looking cars. Interesting interiors, and the 7-seat EV market is still a wee bit underserved, is it not? Motorists receive compensation after regulator finance probe. Lenders brace to pay millions in compensation on car finance deals with Lloyds having set aside £450 million. That's just Lloyds. So this was around the discretionary commission arrangements that finance companies had with car dealers. So if you bought a car on hire purchase or PCP via a car dealer between 2007 and 2020, it may be that shortly you'll be able to make a claim. I dare say there'll be companies out there doing the old, have you blah blah blah, we can get your money blah blah blah, like the PPI days all over again. But what the discretionary commission arrangement was is that lenders could say, there's an example in here, in one of them, Black Horse was found to have allowed a dealer to set an interest rate of between 2.49% and 5.5%, with anything over 2.49% being paid to the dealer as commission. The dealer then charged the highest rate of 5.5%, amounting to half of the customer's total interest bill on the loan. In addition, the dealer didn't tell the customer it had set the interest rate and how much commission it had earned. The Ombudsman ruled that the dealer's actions were unfair and ordered that the customer be refunded interest charged above 2.49%, plus interest at 8% per year on each overpayment. So if they settled that finance in 2009, 2010, they could be looking at whatever that 3% difference was, plus 14 years interest on that at 8%. So it could be a nice little payday for a few people. When this progresses and there are people out there set up to go after these companies, maybe I'll get someone on to do a video about it. JLR to recruit 250 electrical technicians in Range Rover and EV push. New roles, part of a £15 billion investment, join 300 additional positions created by the British car maker last year. And this is for the electric Range Rover, which is coming later this year. Hopefully, of those 250 electrical technicians, a few of them might be electrical security experts, because Range Rovers get nicked about every 3 seconds at the moment, especially the new ones. So hopefully they can sort that out. NIO names new mass market EV brand Onvo ahead of May launch. Chinese EV maker goes after Tesla with new volume brand, which will launch L60 crossover in May. Volkswagen close to final design of the 17 grand ID.1 electric car. Company decide on one of 4 proposals for the price-leading Renault Twingo rival due in 2027. It's an E-Up basically, and it's the new E-Up, I guess. 17 grand, obviously we'll have to wait and see if that happens, and let's not make it another Dacia Spring. Let's make it a proper car. VW, the strength of VW was always that it produced really well put together cars that were really well designed, and they were available to most people, certainly within grasp of most people. They weren't sort of dream cars. I think they need to get back to doing that and stop trying to solve problems that don't exist. We don't need any more slidey aircon controls or volume controls. We don't need anything daft. We just need good cars at a good price that fit the needs of the consumer, basically. So let's hope we see one of those with a proper amount of range that you could use on a motorway if you needed to. New Isuzu DMAX battery electric vehicle pickup truck to arrive next year. Now, this is massively underserved market in the UK at the moment. Obviously, there are loads of dual cab pickups on the road, single cab pickups on the road, but there's only one current battery electric one, which is the Maxus, which, let's face it, is a wee bit compromised. It doesn't even have all-wheel drive, which for a lot of people that need a vehicle like this, they need all-wheel drive. That's part of the reason they've got one. They think it's going to be around about 50 grand, arrive at the end of 2025. More news on that as it appears. VW ID Buzz is mentioned here, but also the ID.3 are getting GTX version, so that's going to be just a very spicy performance offering. Going to look a little bit sportier. The ID Buzz, they're saying, is going to be around about 70 grand. Whew. They're saying here the ID Buzz is going to be in a class of its own because it'll be the only performance electric MPV on the market. And it will, when you think about it. 335 brake horsepower in that one. On sale summer 2024, they're saying here. By the way, I've heard on the grapevine that we might have some good news coming on the gap insurance front, and I will keep you updated with that as soon as I have something firm. I hope you've enjoyed the video, folks. Please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. And please tell a friend. Leave a comment. Follow me on social media elsewhere. Hope everyone has a really great Easter. Enjoy your time off. Hopefully you're not stuck in traffic. And be safe, be happy, Catch you on the next one.